like one child. I go there by your side till the world hears your voice, till you take over the world. I go carry your matter for head, yo. I go there by your side. Welcome. I go there by your side. It's an awesome Thursday evening, right? Or is it Wednesday? Oh, today's Thursday. It's an awesome Thursday evening. And tonight on the Intentional Parenting Chat, we're going to be doing it a bit differently. We may thank you for joining and Merry Christmas in advance. So tonight's show is going to take a different dimension, and I'm here with me with two teenagers. Yes, that's why I said that tonight's show is going to be different. I'm Dima, the co-author of the ABC of Intentional Parenting, which is actually a parent's guide on how to love, lead, and influence our children with ease. Lately, I've had some parents come to me to say, "Oh, Dima, I'm having a hard time connecting with my teenager. It's like there's a big wall, a cold wall between us. I can't seem to reach my child." That's the question that I get to be asked most times by parents. So tonight on the show, I have with me two teenagers who will be leading us into the life of the ideal teenager, to let us as parents know what our teenagers want and how we can connect with them. So I'll introduce to you, but because teenagers are at this point in their lives where they're kind of shy, they're kind of trying to get in tune with their individual identities, and we do not want to show their faces. So they're going to talk to us from the background. So Tingi and Bingi, say hello to the viewers of the Intentional Parenting Chat.
Hi.
Did you hear how their voices sounded? Quite teenager-ish, right? Okay. So I'll start with Bingi. All right. So Bingi, how old are you, Bingi?
I'm 14.
Okay. Please, if you can hear the voices of my teenagers, please let me know. Bingi is 14 years old. And so I would like to ask Bingi a question. What would you have wanted your parents to know before you became a teenager? What would you have wanted them to know? If there was something you wished that your parents knew before you became a teenager, what would that be?
I would have, I think I wish they knew that comparing can really hurt a child emotionally, and they might think it might just go like the child may just hear it and forget about it, but it really goes deep into the life of the child.
Oh, Tingi says she wishes that her parents knew that comparing a child could hurt that child emotionally. So, Tingi, why do you wish that parents knew that? When parents compare their teenagers to other children, what do you think it does to that teenager when the teenager is constantly compared with someone? And I guess the times that the parents compare these teenagers are when they're comparing it for some behavior that you fall short of, some things that you're not measuring up with. Some people even do that with academics, when they're saying, "Oh, this person is better than you in that." So what does it do to a teenager when your parents compare you with other teenagers?
They feel like they feel like failures. They just feel that person who they're comparing them with is better than them in every aspect. They feel like they are different. They feel they are not keeping up, and it really affects them, because when they go out and when they think about how they are being compared with other people, when they meet other people, they instantly just feel that, oh, they are not their level, they are different from everybody. Meanwhile, it might be a problem that is being faced by many other people aside them, but with the way they are being compared constantly, they just feel like they are failures. They feel very useless, and it also makes them envy people unnecessarily. They start to envy other people. They start getting jealous of every little thing. They just feel so uncomfortable, and the parents might not know. They might just feel like, oh, the child has heard it and forgotten about it, but it keeps on coming to the mind of the child.
So when parents compare their children with other children, we might just think it's an outburst of anger at that time, and you think that, oh, you've said it and your child has forgotten about it. But from Tingi, I'm hearing from you that the children do not forget.
Yes, they do.
And when you, as a parent, you compare your teenager with another teenager, you make the person feel less worthy. You make the person feel like a failure. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes.
Fantastic. So that was Bingi, right? Yes. Okay, so Bingi just shared with us how when parents compare their teenagers and how it makes them feel. So we're going to be talking to Tingi. So Tingi, what do you wish that parents knew before their children turn to become teenagers? Tingi?
Okay, so what I think parents should have known before their children became teenagers is that when a child is becoming a teenager, it doesn't necessarily mean that the child has to go astray. And then parents have put this kind of force on the child, always telling them to stay away from peer pressure. And then I don't actually think that is a thing that every teenager must go through.
Wow.
So I think parents should learn to understand their children and know how their children really are.
Oh, did you hear that? Tingi says that one thing she wishes that parents knew before their children become teenagers is that parents should trust their children. So all up from the ages of 0 to up to when they become teenagers, as parents, we have been inculcating values in them. And so Tingi is saying that trust your child to live out the values. Because when they become teenagers, we start bombarding them with that, oh, don't fall into peer pressure, oh, somebody will lead you astray, that she thinks that is being so forceful. And when we do that, the child will be like, why does mommy think I'm like that? And so what Tingi shared just reminded me of an incident that happened with my children when we traveled for summer. And so we had, when we were traveling, we had we didn't plan that we're going to go to Disneyland. So when we got there, we started negotiating to say, oh, you know what, to spice up this vacation, let's pay a visit to Disneyland. And so on this particular day, I called them to say, oh, we're going to Disneyland, this and this. And you know what I did? I tried to bait them. So I said, we didn't plan to go to Disney, but if you are of good behavior, because at that time we were staying with my sister in her house with her husband. So I was like, if you be of excellent behavior, I promise you we will round up this summer holiday with a trip to Disneyland. And then before we went on the trip, we had agreed on spending money. Okay, we had agreed on spending money, and so I said to them, if we're going to go to Disneyland, we're going to have to take some bit of your spending money off as part of what we're going to spend in Disneyland, but that is conditional unless you are of good behavior. And so they went on their own to go deliberate on that to know if they were ready to give us some of their spending money. And when they came back, the feedback they gave me was shocking. And so one of them looked at me and said, Mom, yes, we would like to go to Disneyland, but why did you have to tie going to Disney with us being of good behavior? Are you insinuating that we are not of good behavior? Or are you insinuating that we are not capable of being of good behavior unless there is a bait tied to it? Why did you have to tie the treat to Disneyland with being of good behavior? And that was valuable feedback for me, and I had to apologize to them because they were like, you don't have to treat us like animals, that you're going to throw monkeys to the banana so that the monkey can be still. That was what they interpreted my telling them to be of good behavior so that they could make Disney World, the trip to Disney World. And so what Tingi just said reminded me of that. So this is the Intentional Parenting Chat if you're just joining us, and on tonight's show, it's a different show. I have two teenagers with me sharing with me what they wish that their parents knew before they became a teenager. So Bingi, I'm going to come back to you. One of the questions I get asked by parents generally, especially mothers, is how can I connect with my child, especially my teenager? So Bingi, how do you think that parents can connect with their children, especially at those times when their children are in teenage age?
I feel they should try connecting with them the way they would like it, because in the century we are now, most teenagers don't just want to sit down and talk. They want to go out, have fun, and while they are doing that, they want to talk. They don't just want to sit down and have that formal mother to daughter talk. So I feel if you want to be closer to your child, do it in the way your child would like it. If you know your child is the kind of person that loves to swim, okay, take him out for swim. Okay, after that you can talk to the person. If your child is kind of person that loves movies, okay, you go to the theater, you watch a movie. After that you talk to them. I feel you should talk to them in the way they want. They want in a place where they love, where they can be comfortable to tell you things. Because personally, no child in this modern century just wants to sit down, okay, in the living room and have that formal mother to daughter talk. The person might just find it boring or find it as a very formal thing. The person won't see it as a close thing. Like, it's just not going to be nice.
Wow, Bingi has given us something. You know, on the intentional parenting chat, I always talk about fun, incorporating fun and play in everything we do with our children. And so she was saying that for parents to connect with their teenagers, they need to do it in a fun and playful atmosphere. That in this 21st century, teenagers do not just want parents who are going to sit with them in a formal setting. No, inculcate play. You know, try to have fun, try to play, because when learning is done in a play environment, that is the best form of learning. Thank you, Bingi, for that tip. And so we're turning to Tingi. Tingi, in this present dispensation, one of the challenges that parents talk about is like they feel that there's a cold wall, you know, building between them and their children, and so they want to know how to bulldoze over this wall. So what do you think? How can parents connect with their teenagers?
So like, I'm going to relate to my first point in a way. I feel they should listen to them. They should try to see sense coming from their perspective.
Okay.
Because they usually have this, how do I put it? They have a standard way. They feel everything is so standard, everyone is the same. So that withdraws them, that gives them this kind of fear that they can't depend on their parents.
Okay.
So that is why I feel they should try to listen to them more, try to be in their shoes, try to understand them.
Awesome.
The way they are.
Awesome. Wow. So that was Tingi. Tingi said that if you want to connect with your child who is a teenager, you must learn to connect with the child by not using fear, you know, not giving threats on the child. And she also stressed on the point that parents should understand that every child is different. It was lovely having Tingi and Bingi on the show with us tonight, wasn't it? You know, they came as teenagers to give the perspective to parenting and to teach us parents how to connect with our children. Particularly, everything they shared was, you know, fundamental for me, and it reminded me of something that I've been trying to do. I've worked out and I'm doing with my children. You understand? Don't use fear. When people are motivated by fear, it can only last for a short while. Rather than using fear to connect and to motivate your child, use a promised future. Lead the child to a future outcome that the child will want to be part of. You know, and it reminds me of what, when I was younger and I started my period, I went to tell my mom, oh, I noticed blood on my panties. The first thing she told me was that, oh, you're now a woman. If a man touches you, you will get pregnant. I mean, how can that be sexuality lecture 101? And so that is what the teenagers are telling us now. Do not project fear on your child. Lead your child to an outcome, a desirable future outcome that will want the child to be of good behavior. And they also said that if you have been inculcating values in them, trust them to live out that values. So thank you, Tingi and Bingi, for being on the show, and I hope you enjoyed the show. This season, I'm going to be Santa. You know, most of our children like Santa. For my children, they like Santa, and there's this tradition we do in our family where Santa visits us secretly and drops presents for us, and then when we wake up on the 25th morning, we just run down to the manger and pick our gifts. I am Santa, and I'm visiting every parent this season. Questions are very important, and the quality of questions you ask will determine the quality of answers you get. In fact, answers are hidden in questions. So I'm giving you a gift, and it's an audio program titled Questions You Must Answer as a Parent, especially if you want to raise wholesome kids without losing your sanity. The link to download the gift is on this video. I'm also going to post it as a comment. Just lead me to where you want me to deliver the gift to you, and on the 24th of December I will deliver the gift to you such that it will be the first thing you unwrap on Christmas Day. Thank you for joining me on the Intentional Parenting Chat. I hope to see you on subsequent episodes. And please, if you have any parenting questions, challenges, or any topics you would like us to treat on the Intentional Parenting Chat, please drop it for me or send it to my email. I will also leave my email address as a comment. Together, we will learn and continue to equip ourselves with the tools, with the skills, and the requisite mindset to lead, love, and influence our children with ease. Thank you for connecting, and see you next time. I remain Dima Nwobi, co-author of ABC of Intentional Parenting. Bye.